everyone, welcome back to my channel. Well, the tree's trimmed and the tinsel's hung. That's right, it's Christmas. So today I'm going to show you how I made this cute little elf sitting on a shipping container box cake for my family. I've split this video into two sections to make it a little bit easy for you to watch, so don't forget to go straight ahead and watch the second section after this is done. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so to make our elf, I used Rice Krispie treats because it's a lightweight material and we were putting them on such a small cake, so it made sense. I'll put a link in the description for the Rice Krispie recipe that I originally used, but now I just sort of wing it. So for his body, I rolled him into an egg sort of shape, which should have been more of a candy corn shape, but I remedied that with a little bit of fondant later on. And for his hat, I rolled it into a cone shape, constantly checking that they match up. Once I've done with that, I rolled them in some plastic wrap in the fridge for 10 minutes and then take them out and use this magical guy, which is just a rasp you can get from most hardware stores. I use that to grate the outsides of the hat and the body just to take away the lumpy bumpiness of the Rice Krispie treats, and it makes for a nice smooth finish to put your modelling chocolate and your fondant on later on. Speaking of modelling chocolate, that was the first thing I used on both the body and the hat. So I just rolled out some modelling chocolate, moistened it a little bit and then rolled it around the body and rolled it around the hat. Same process for both. And then started smoothing it out. And the beauty of modelling chocolate is that you can work with it for ages and you can get rid of any seams. Amazing. I'm not sure what that little tool was that I was using. It was a cheapie from somewhere, but okay, so now on to dressing our little guy. I used a dark grey fondant, which I rolled out quite thinly, and basically repeated the same process that I've done with the modelling chocolate. I'd moistened the body with a little bit of water, not too much because you don't want it sliding around, and then wrapped that fondant around the body, trimmed off the excess, and once again, smoothed it all out. Now I found this funky little texture mat, and I used that all over his body. But the thing is that I ended up changing the texture later on. I wasn't 100% happy with it. I'll show you what I use for texturing later on. All that time I'm putting into that texturing and didn't end up using it. Same with that pattern, didn't end up using it. But there he is, same concept, there's his little body. I've popped it on a skewer into a piece of styrofoam. Now I've taken some white fondant and I'm rolling it out quite thinly and then doing the same with a really deep red fondant. I take them both over to my pasta machine and roll them through about second or third from thinnest setting, and then run them both through the fettuccine maker. The fettuccine maker ensures that I get nice even stripes. There they are. Now I'm taking another piece of white fondant, wearing gloves this time because if anyone's going to get red on white, it's me. And then I moisten that fondant with a little bit of water and I place my red and white stripes alternatingly on that piece of fondant. You want to make it quite thick because we have to roll this out. I take my small acrylic rolling pin and I roll it in the same direction that those stripes are in, otherwise you're going to get windy stripes and you don't want that. Once that's done, we take that fondant back over to the pasta machine, run it through once, make it a bit thinner and run it through a second time, making sure that those lines don't go skewy. And there you go, beautiful, seamless red and white striped fondant. So once that was done, I took this guy, which is another funky texture mat, a woolen knitted texture mat, and I pressed and rolled that all over that fondant. There it is. Gorgeous. Okay, so initially when I made this guy's legs, I used solid pieces of fondant and then wrapped this around them, but they didn't quite look right. He's got more raggedy sort of legs, so what I ended up doing was basically just rolling this fondant into like a cigar, doing that twice, measuring them up, evening them up, and that was that, and they looked right. To adhere them, just a tiny bit of water on the underside of his belly, pop those legs onto the styrofoam, push his body back down, and voila, he has legs. Okay, now onto his arms, I just rolled out a snake of the dark grey fondant and used, that was my texture mat, just non-slip mat. Worked perfectly. Cut that in half, applied a little bit of water already, but before I did that, I popped a toothpick in the end of each arm, made a small hole, ready for his little mittens to go in. Now to make the mittens, I took that dark red fondant again and rolled it into a teardrop shape and cut out a small little section for his thumb of his mitten. Pressed it down and cute little mitten. To attach the mittens, just a little bit of water in those holes that we'd made previously, pop them in, and he's got gloves. Okay, so yes, I made dragon's beard candy. That was an experience. This is me making my dragon's beard candy, probably about the 6th batch. Here's me pulling my dragon's beard candy that actually worked. And here's one of my fails. One of many fails. But it was worth it in the end because look at that gorgeous dragon's beard candy. I'll put a link in the description of the recipe I use, but there's plenty of videos on YouTube that you can check out for yourself and they are well worth it. To adhere the dragon's beard candy, I just put a tiny bit of water on the top because you don't want it dissolving, and then just laid it on up. Believe me, you'll need a lot more than you think, so you'll have to have quite a bit. Just gave him a little trim, a little fluff up, and beard is ready. Now to make his nose, once again, just a tiny bit of water on the top there, you don't want things dissolving, and a flesh-coloured piece of fondant that I've rolled into like a bit of an eggy ovally ball, popped it on the top there, and there's his nose. Now I grabbed that hat that I'd previously covered in modelling chocolate, slid it on top, and wrapped that red and white fondant that we'd textured around the top. Gave him a tidy up, and voila! Elf, all ready. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget that I've got another video on the cake that I put him on top of. Watch that straight after this. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great Christmas, and I will see you next time. Bye.